Hello and welcome into the Birds of the Roundtable, our final show before the live draft show on Thursday night, which, by the way, make plans for the draft. Be sure you tune in and watch the draft with us, the Edge of Philly Sports Watch Party. We are going to be live at 7 o'clock on both Thursday and Friday night, breaking down the entire first round of the draft, all of day 2. If you are a fan of a non-Eagles team, I'm not honestly sure why you're watching a podcast named Birds of the Roundtable, but we're going to be NFL. We're not going to be Eagles centric. We're going to be talking about every team, every pick, every player. So be sure you join us for that. But today, in our final episode before the draft, we have a bunch of draft prop bets that we're going to be entering in, making our official predictions. If you guys want to play along, we've got a scorecard we'll pop up here on the screen. You can record your answers. Maybe you'll beat us. We won't believe you because it wasn't public before, but maybe you'll do it. So joined by the normal crew here, I've got Ryan Reese. Follow him on Twitter at Philly Sports PSA. Also joined by Dives. Give him a follow at Mr. Crockpot. And making his return to Birds of the Roundtable, it is David. Give him a follow on Twitter at PHL Eagle News. And then we are also joined by special guest, gambler extraordinaire. It is Mark Henry Jr. Give him a follow on Twitter at Mark Henry Jr. _. Guys, let's dive into it. I don't have time to ask you how we're doing tonight. We got a lot of stuff to cover, so let's hop right in. And we are going to go. Actually, I'm going to order us in the order we're on this document here.
Oh, nice. I'm last.
Okay, so it goes Mark, me, David, Ryan, Dives. So Dives gets covered up by the faces here. So we're going to start off with one that's maybe not as easy as we thought it was a few weeks ago. It is the second quarterback that's drafted. And Mark, I'm going to throw it to you first here. Who's the second quarterback coming off the board?
Who I think it will be and who I think it should be is two totally different things. But it seems like at this point, the Commanders have settled in on Jaden Daniels. I think there's been a couple smoke screens that have been thrown out this week, but Schefter seems to be pretty confident that that's where they're going. I think that they're making a mistake and, guesting on an Eagles pod and not just an NFL overall pod where I try to remain unbiased. It's nice for me to come in and say, I think the Commanders are making a huge mistake and I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah, I am right there with you. My official pick will also be Jaden Daniels. It seems like it's moving that direction, and I could not be happier that they're settling on Jaden Daniels over Drake May. So I will also go Daniels. David, what say you?
Exact same thought, Jaden Daniels. It should be Drake May, but it's not. So,
all right, Ryan.
Yeah, I'm gonna keep the train rolling and go Jaden Daniels.
All right, Dibes.
It's Jaden Daniels. Let's keep it rolling.
Wow, clean sweep. Okay, well, let's go to the third quarterback drafted. So I'll change who goes first every time. So we're not all copying off of Mark, but I'll give myself this one because this one's super easy. If Jaden Daniels is QB2, Drake May has got to be QB3. So I will lock that one in. David, what do you have?
JJ McCarthy.
Ooh, okay. All right, so we got a J.J. McCarthy from David. Ryan, who do you think is the third quarterback off the board?
Yeah, I think it should be it is going to be Drake May. Otherwise, if J.J. McCarthy, some crazy trade just happened, so we'll see.
Okay, Dibes, McCarthy or May?
Definitely May. He still has a lot to work on, but he should have went number 2. This guy's elite over the middle of the field. And I think he's just a fantastic prospect. Drake May.
All right. And Mark, round us out here. Do you have May as well?
No, I think it's an active issue. I really do. This is up in the air, in my opinion. Depends who makes the pick. I think if New England makes the pick, I think it'll be May, and so I'll go with that. But I don't think it's outside of the realm of possibilities for them to trade it with Minnesota, who seemingly prefers JJ. But I'll go May.
Okay, and so that gets us to the fourth quarterback drafted. David, who do you got?
Well, I'm going Drake May. But my reasoning is basically what Mark just said. I do think the New England pick is for sale, and I think it'll go to J.J. McCarthy. So I'll just go May here to whomever that is at fourth.
All right. Ryan, You going
Yeah.
McCarthy?
Yeah, I'm going to go McCarthy here.
All right. Dibes is a wild card here because I truly think he might say Michael Penix Jr. Dibes, who's your QB off the board?
Yeah, I'm definitely biased. I would like if I was going by my heart, I would say Michael Penix, who I absolutely love. But it is JJ McCarthy. I think some team's going to reach on him, and it's going to be a mistake.
All right. Mark?
Yeah, it's JJ McCarthy. I do think Penix goes in pretty early, though.
Yeah, no spoiler alerts. We got that on the board later. I will also go JJ McCarthy. So let's keep it rolling here. We're going to get into wide receivers now. Ryan, who is the third wide receiver to come off the board?
Oh, do we have a consensus of what 1 and 2 are?
Not really.
Yes.
Oh, because listen, I'm going to assume we're going Harrison, and I assume that we're I guess we're going to go Neighbors. So then I'll go Roma Dunze.
Yeah.
Okay, Dibes, who's wide receiver 3?
Yeah, I don't see any scenario where like it's like a Dunze passes the New York Giants at like number 6. They need a true number 1. He's that guy. It is Roma Dunze.
Did you say he doesn't get past 6?
Yeah.
Wow.
It would surprise me if all 3 receivers go that high. Mark, who's your wide receiver 3?
I think it's going to be Odunze. I think I would go Odunze second and Neighbors third, but it seems like Neighbors has a little bit more buzz. I think there's a pretty good chance Harrison and Neighbors go off the board at 4 and 5.
All right, I'm right there with you. Odunze is my wide receiver 2, but I think the league is higher on Neighbors than Odunze, so I think Odunze goes off the board at wide receiver 3. David, what about you?
Clean sweep.
All right. Clean sweep. Let's go to Dibes for the 4th wide receiver drafted.
This is where I want to get crazy, but I'm not. I want to win this thing. Give me Brian Thomas Jr. Definitely raw as a prospect. I really want to see him kind of go to a system where he can be like a number 2 for a couple years, but his upside is too much to pass on. It is Brian Thomas Jr.
Okay, Mark, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. And I think if Denver can't figure out a way to get a quarterback or to move up in the draft, I wouldn't be shocked to see Thomas go 12, as high as 12.
All right. I'm going to also go Brian Thomas Jr. I really toyed with the idea of throwing Xavier Worthy out there because the Raiders are known to be crazy about fast wide receivers, but I can't do it. I think Brian Thomas Jr. goes wide receiver 4. David, what do you think?
I agree. I agree with Mark too. For like the 3rd time, I think Denver is probably going to go after Brian Thomas Jr. and draft Bo Nix later in the draft. There.
Yeah.
As somebody who's done 155 episodes of Chalk Talk with Mark, I just want to caution you guys against agreeing with Mark too much.
I stink at these, by the way, at the draft prop bets. I'm always bad at this. Thank God PA doesn't allow you to.
I already have my board. My board's filled out. I'm just going by what it is.
Yeah, mine is too. Ryan, 4th wide receiver drafted. What do you got?
Yeah, man, I obviously I have Brian Thomas Jr., but man, the thought of somebody overdrafting somebody like an Xavier Worthy is worthy of consideration. See what I did there?
I see what you did there.
Again, you already put in Brian Thomas, so I guess I'll go with that.
Well, that's what you said.
No, I was talking out my thought process.
Oh. Okay, well, you're locked in now. No going back.
Yeah,
Mark,
you can't change it.
let's flip over to the defensive side of the ball here. Who do you have as the first defensive player drafted in this draft?
I'm going to go with the favorite here, and he's plus 100 to be the first defensive player drafted. It's Dallas Turner. I think there's a really good chance he goes between 7 to 9 to Tennessee, Atlanta, or Chicago.
All right. I will also go with Dallas Turner. He seems it seems like Dallas Turner to Atlanta at 8 is a really popular pick. I think he goes off the board before the cornerbacks personally. But David, who do you have?
The player who I have ranked ahead of him is Latu, so I'm going to stick with it.
All right. I cannot. How do you spell his name?
Laiatu.
TU.
LATU.
I'm a terrible speller, but okay. Latu for David. Ryan, who's the first defensive player off the board?
I'm gonna go with Terrion Arnold. I think somebody in that top 10 is gonna fall in love with Arnold and grab him.
Trying to break my heart on this show. That's terrible.
I know.
But
Right.
you can't have your heart broken if Terrion Arnold goes. We know you're all aboard the JPJ train, David.
Yeah.
Late first.
All right, Dibes, who do you have as the first defensive player off the board?
I'm right there with David, man. It's Latu. I'm that's my gut feeling on this one. I'm not gonna jump off that hill.
All right, so we're gonna go to second defensive player drafted, and I'm gonna lead us off here. I'm gonna go Quinyon Mitchell is the second defensive player off the board. I did strongly think about just like taking the same person for every pick to make sure I get one, but that felt like a really lame way to do this. And I wanted to make actual predictions, but Quinyon Mitchell, second player off the board on the defensive side for me. David, what do you have?
Dallas Turner.
All right. Ryan?
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm going to go Latu.
All right. Dibes, who do you have?
Terrion Arnold, my CB1 of this draft. I think I see him as the second guy.
All right. And Mark, that puts you up. Who's your second guy drafted?
This is my 7th ranked defender personally, but I think Quinyon Mitchell has risen above guys that I don't think he should have risen above. He's kind of had a Devin Witherspoon like rise like last year. Not that I would love Mitchell on the Eagles, but I think he is going to go potentially top 10 now.
Yeah, I knew that was your pick by your reaction when I said it, by the way, but I already had it copied, ready to paste. David, we're going to the third defensive player drafted. You've already taken Latu. You've already taken Dallas Turner. Who's your third defender off the board?
With the 13th pick in the 2024 NFL draft, the Philadelphia Eagles select Terrion Arnold.
Oh, baby.
Wow.
All right. Trading up with the Raiders, David says. All right. Ryan.
I'm going to go with Dallas Turner.
All right. Dibes, what do you have?
Dallas Turner, baby.
Oh.
All right. Mark.
I'm going with Terrion Arnold. There's just a bunch of teams in that early teen area that need corners. He makes a lot of sense to Indy at 15.
All right. And I'm going to go with Byron Murphy.
I love this comment by Harrison. Byron Murphy. That is a great comment. He could be as high as top 10.
Yeah, I've heard smoke about Byron Murphy to the Bears. And so
yeah.
I didn't
Jeremiah was saying he could be the first defender taken. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't want to put him as the first one because I still think it's Dallas Turner at 8. But I do think Byron Murphy is a potential top 10 pick. So okay.
He would be my 4th pick if there's any solace there.
All right. Terrion Arnold was right there. So we would have just flipped those. Ryan, offensive lineman. Who is the second offensive lineman drafted?
Ooh, I'm going to go with Oli Fashino.
All right. Dibes?
This one made me really think hard. But at the end of the day, I've got Talisi Fuaga circled to the Saints at number 14. And it's not Fashanu. So give me Fuaga.
All right. Mark?
I'll go Fashanu. I have him going to New Orleans. We all know New Orleans is taking a tackle. It's just about who they're taking.
So I have one that I want to say, and I'm not going to make it my pick, but I think there is a good chance Joe Alt is the second offensive lineman drafted.
Wow.
What?
Do it.
If the Charger, everybody's putting an offensive tackle to the Chargers, right? And the Chargers don't need a left tackle. They need a right tackle. I could see a world where the Chargers go J.C. Latham. Harbaugh faced off against Latham in college football. He's talked very favorably about Latham. I could see them saying, we're going to take Latham because he was good in college against us. He's a right tackle. That's what we need. I could see a scenario where Joe Alt is not the wide receiver one. And if I could get plus odds on that, I would say Joe Alt, my second offensive lineman drafted. But since that's not the way this show works, I'm not going to go out on a limb that far. Just planting that seed here for later. But I'm going to go Talisi Fuega as well.
Oh, wow.
For my O-line 2. I'm just saying, don't be shocked if Joe Alt's not the first tackle taken. David, what do you have?
Alu. I do agree with you about Joe Alt, though. I've actually heard somebody say from the same team that you mentioned that there's a couple things they don't like about Alt.
All right. Well, maybe I should have made it my pick. Maybe I'll make him my third offensive lineman taken. Actually, that's a little too crazy. Dives, third offensive lineman taken. Who do you have?
It's Fashanu. Amazing pass protector. A little raw, a little bit of a work in progress, but an amazing tackle prospect.
All right, Mark, who do you have?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a little bit of a surprise, and I'm going to go with Jackson Powers Johnson. There's just so many teams in the middle of the first round that need interior O-line, and I know that you don't see a guy like that go that high, but I have him penciled in at 16 to Seattle, and I could see him going even higher.
All right, I'm going to go with J.C. Latham. I'll say J.C. Latham is the third O-lineman off the board. David, what do you have?
Fuaga. And I'm
All right.
shocked somebody likes JPJ more than me. I can't even believe it.
All right, Ryan, round us out here. Who do you have?
I'm going to go with J.C. Latham.
How does it feel to be right, Ryan?
Feels pretty darn good, let me tell you. I'm right a lot. Ask Dibes.
It's true.
All right, let's go to the position of the Eagles' first drafted player. Mark, lead us off.
I wish that I could say cornerback. As you guys know, I'm desperate for the Eagles to take a cornerback. They haven't taken one in the first round since 2002, as I've said on every pod that I've been on with Shane for the last 4 months at this point. But I think they're going to take an offensive lineman. So I think they're going to end up taking Fountain if I made my guess on the particular player that I could see them taking. That's not based on anything. That's totally based on just a feeling. But
all right, I am going to go cornerback. I think there's too much smoke around cornerbacks, so I'm going to stick there. David?
Same cornerback. Whether they trade up for one or they trade down and select one, I do think it's corner.
All right, Ryan?
Hey, linebacker, Ryan.
Listen, when we get to the second round, that's all me. But I'm going to go edge.
Urin Cooper? All right.
Very funny.
Dives, what do you got?
It pains me to say, I agree with Mark. At the end of the day, I think the corners are going to go too high. And the most likely scenario, it is what it is. And I wouldn't like it, but it's going to make for one hell of a watch party when the Eagles are on the clock, and that is offensive line.
All right. Now let's get into some over-unders. We're going to list a bunch of players. We're going to say over or under a certain draft position or draft positioning. Now, just for reference for everyone, under means a smaller number. So if you take J.J. McCarthy under 4.5, you're saying he will be drafted in the first 4 picks. Over, bigger number later. Okay? So I maybe nobody else struggles with that one. I always do when it comes to these, because to me, over is usually better in terms of points and things like that. But so just so everybody's on the same page, I start us off on this one. JJ McCarthy over under 4.5. I'm going to take the over on that. He's going later. He's not going top 4. It's not going to be quarterbacks 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't believe it. It's never happened. Quarterbacks 1, 2, 3 has only happened twice in the history of the NFL. I don't think we're going 1, 2, 3, 4. David, what do you got?
Under. I can't
Wow.
say he's this. I can't say he's the second quarterback and then not say under.
That's true.
That's
very
fair.
true.
All right, Ryan.
Big over. Just don't see it.
Yeah. That means it's got to be over by like. That means he's got to be like 10 or later, right?
Let's go. Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, Dibes.
I'm over, but I'm a slight over. I think unless the Cardinals trade out, I do see McCarthy in that like right after that area with a trade up from somebody.
All right, Mark. Over under 4.5 for JJ McCarthy.
This is not a confident one. There's some that are going to come that I'm going to be confident in. I'll go over. I pegged them at 6 to the Giants, just to not mess around with too many trades. And
Did we lose Mark?
Yeah, Mark's audio got garbled. He kind of froze, and now he's gone. So he will join back. It's just like JJ McCarthy, you just can't rely on him late in the game. No. Okay, let's go to Brock Bowers, man of the hour here, as we've got someone asking a question here about Brock Bowers. Says, if Bowers starts falling, what are the chances Howie makes a move to trade, seeing as we have an out of Dallas's deal after this season? I don't think I'm going to tip my hand. As I say, I don't think he starts to really fall that much, but we'll see as we get into it here. What do you guys have? David, I'll start with you.
Slight over.
All right. So David says over 10.5. Ryan?
Man, that's a really good over-under. I'm going to go with the extremely slight over.
All right, the over, but I'm a coward. Won't say it with my chest. Dibes, what do you have?
Pretty
Yeah,
much.
I'm looking at the New York Jets and the Tennessee Titans as possible landing spots, but I'm going to go like everyone else. Give me slight over.
Wait, the Jets and the Titans both draft before pick 10, though.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over.
He was saying that he could see it happening, but he's not going to go that way.
Okay. We lost Mark again. We'll let Mark catch up when he gets back, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm taking the under here. I think Brock Bowers is going top 10. I've got him circled to the Jets. I could also see him a couple of other places in the top 10. So I think Bowers comes off the board pretty early. All right, let's move on to Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback out of Toledo. Mark, can you hear us?
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there all of a sudden.
All right, Brock Bowers over under 10.5.
I went. This is not a confident one. Slight under. I had him at 10 to the Jets, so it feels like he's going 10 or 15 in my opinion, or later.
All right, Quinyon Mitchell 13.5. Ryan, what do you say?
Ooh, I'm gonna go over. I think especially if he starts to slip into the mid-teens, I think that's where Howie might pounce up and grab him.
All right, Dibes.
I'm going to go under. I'm looking at the Broncos and the Raiders as possible landing spots. The Colts could be in play, but they're at 15. I'll go under, slight under.
Man, Quinyon Mitchell and Patrick Surtain. That would be a lot of fun. Mark, over under 13.5 for Mitchell.
Under. I feel really good about that one. Definitely under.
Yeah, I'm under on that as well. I've got him as the first CB off the board, so feel like I kind of have to have him. Let me get our faces straightened back out here in order. David, over under 13.5.
Over. I have him going to the Colts at 15.
All right. Next guy up, Talisi Fuaga, 13.5. Dives, what do you have?
Absolutely under. I just put it big under.
All right. Mark?
I have him ranked in my top 13, but I actually think he's one of the tackles that I could see falling just a little bit. So I have him down at 20. So I'm going over.
All right. I am taking the under on that one. David?
Under.
All right. And Ryan?
I'm gonna go against my gut, and I'm going to stay over. I'm going to agree with Mark here.
All right. Michael Penix Jr., 15.5. Mark, what do you have?
Under. I think he's going to go 13. It seems like it's trending towards the Raiders taking him at 13, which seems rich for me. But hey, I actually think the Raiders roster is pretty good. So if they think Penix could step in and be good right away, he's pretty old. Maybe it's worth it, but it seems rich for me.
Yeah, I'm taking the over, but never put it past the Raiders to do something that dumb. David.
Over.
Over. All right, Ryan.
Yeah, over. Easy over.
Dibes.
I'm going under. I do. I think it's the Raiders. In Penix, I trust, man.
All right. That brings us to Alabama cornerback Terrion Arnold at 15.5. I'm up first, and I'm saying he is over 15.5. I think
Under.
Arnold could end up down the board a little bit further than people think. David?
He went to the Eagles at 13. Under.
I forgot about that. All right. Ryan?
Yeah, that's an under for me. I think he's the first one off the board, not Quinyon.
Okay. Dibes?
Slight over.
And Mark?
I'm going under. Even though I only have him at 15, I'm pretty confident he goes top 15.
Wait, Dibes, did you say over?
Yeah.
Okay. I spaced out for a second, and then I was like, wait, did I type the wrong thing? Okay, wide receiver Brian Thomas Jr. David, we have it set at 16.5. What do you have?
Under. Under. I'll have to go under.
Did you just change your board?
No, I have him at 17, and I was like, but
Okay.
Wow.
All right, Ryan.
I'm going to go with over. I have him 20s, so I'll say over.
All right. Dibes, over under 16.5.
Over for me. I'm looking at the Steelers at pick number 20.
All right, Mark.
This is one of my favorites. I'm going under. I think there's a slight chance he goes above Odunze as well. I wouldn't predict. I didn't predict that, obviously, and I think it'd be crazy. I'm not that high on Thomas. I don't even have him as a first rounder in terms of my grade that I gave him. But I think he's really going to rise up higher than people think. There's a lot of wide receiver need. I have him going top 12.
Oh, wow. Okay. I'm going to take the over on that. I think he lasts past 16.5. Okay. I think it's Ryan's turn to lead us off here on Cooper DeJean at 22.5.
I'm going to go under. I think there's going to be a GM that falls in love with this kid enough to grab him potentially in the teens.
All right. Dibes?
Same. Under.
Mark?
I wouldn't bet this with Shane's money. I have no idea where DeJean goes. I don't know. I have him at 24. I feel like he's one of the players with the widest range of outcomes among the first rounders. So I'm going over. I'm not confident at all. I would go under. I have him as a top 12 prospect.
Joke's on you. I don't have any money, so. But the money I don't have, put it on the under. Cooper DeJean is going to be the Eagles pick at 22, so that puts him under 22.5. David, what do you have?
I like the original DB Cooper more than I like this DB Cooper. I'm going over.
All right. And then Jackson Powers Johnson at 22.5. Dibes.
I'm hoping for the under just so we can keep him far, far and away of the Dallas Cowboys at number 24 because I know that's who they want. And I would hate that fit. As an Eagles fan, that would be a great selection. So give me under.
All right. Mark.
This is my favorite bet on the whole board, under on this one. I mean, like, there's just so many teams who need interior O-line. The Raiders, the Broncos, the Seahawks, the Bengals could use a little bit of help. There's so many teams. I don't know what just happened there. There's so many teams that need help. The Dolphins, the Eagles at 22. I think he's very much in play at 22. So, yeah, I think Jackson Powers Johnson is absolutely in play.
All right. That was the Cowboys calling to try to trade up. They heard Jackson Powers Johnson was going before 22
and that's possible too. Yeah.
I'm going to say over. I think Jackson Powers Johnson has been passed by Graham Barton. And I think there's a contingent of people that like Zach Frazier more. I think that's a little crazy. Wow. But I'll say Jackson Powers Johnson is over 22.5. David?
I'm going over as well. I think there's some medical concerns that have popped up after the Senior Bowl that might push him a little bit further down. Could be Dallas, right where Dive said, but I do think it's going to be over.
All right. And Ryan?
Yeah, that's an over for me. I see him slipping a little bit farther than we thought. So,
all right. Mark, you lead us off here. Graham Barton at 23.5.
I have this as an under as well. And you mentioned Barton and Frazier. I think all three go in the first round. I just think there's so much interior offensive line need. I think they're going to go higher than expected this year. So under for Barton, even though I'm not that high. I'm not that high on Barton.
Yeah, this is a big time under for me. If this line was at 14.5, I would take the under on Graham Barton. Wow. I think he's going early in this draft. David, what do you have?
I'm going under. I think it's a Steelers type of pick.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Ryan?
Yeah, I'll go under as well. I think he's going to back end of the teens or early 20.
All right, Dipes.
Yeah, for the sake of being different, I'll give me the over. Yeah, I'm looking at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at number 26. I think that's a good spot for him. Give me the over.
All right, Kool-Aid McKinstry. Over-under is set at 28.5. I'm going to take the over on this one. I think the Jones fracture thing is going to scare some teams off, as well as his slower 40 times. So I think he could be a guy that falls out of the first round entirely. David, what do you have?
What's the number, 28?
Yes, 28.5.
I agree with you. I think top of the second round, I go over.
I think he could be this year's Joey Porter Jr., the guy that everybody likes, and he just doesn't go on day one.
And they'll fight for him to be first on the night too, but yeah, I agree with you.
All right, Ryan?
Yeah, give me the over as well. I think he falls out of the first round.
Dives?
Over.
And Mark?
Agreed, over.
Well, that was lame. You guys all copying my homework. Let's go to Darius Robinson at 32.5. David, what say you?
I have him ranked 33rd, which would make me say over, but for some reason I'm going to go with my gut and say under. I think somebody sneaks in the first round and takes him.
All right, Ryan?
I'm going to say, I'm going to say over. I think some of the hype maybe has cooled off slightly heading into the draft, and I think he falls out of the first round and comfortably into the second.
All right, Dives, what do you have?
Absolutely under. I think he's a mid to late first round pick.
Okay.
Not a mid, like in the 20s somewhere.
All right. Mark, what do you have?
I went over. I think he goes in the second.
And I'm going to go under. It's not a guy I would have thought's a first round pick, but he's one of 13 guys invited to the draft, and they're pretty plugged into that usually. If you get invited to the draft, I'm just going to assume you're going round one. So
he's the last of the really good edges to me. Like it's a long wait. It's like 20 more spots down after him to me. Like Braswell might be the next one on the list after him.
See, I've got him significantly below Braswell, but that's just how I stacked him up. So let's go to cornerback TJ Tampa. Obviously has to go to a Tampa 2 scheme, which limits our teams a little bit here. But over under, what is it, 32.5, Ryan?
Yeah, I think he's a solid second rounder for sure. So I'm going to go with over, but he's not going to last terribly too long into the second.
All right, Dibes?
A guy that has definitely like kind of flown under the radar, maybe unfairly. Great prospect, but I think it's over.
All right. Mark?
Over for me.
Over for me too. David?
Over.
All right. And Dibes, Bo Nix at 32.5. Is Bo Nix going to be a first round pick?
Absolutely not. It's an over for me.
All right. Mark?
That's an over for me. I could see, if Denver had assets to trade up into the back end of the first, maybe, but they don't. So I don't know how that would happen.
Yeah, good thing they traded all their picks for Sean Payton. I'm going to go over as well. I don't think Bo Nix is touching the first round. David,
Over.
Ryan.
Yeah, I would be insanely shocked if some idiot franchise took him in the first. So over.
Could happen.
Wait till the Eagles take him at pick 50 to be their backup quarterback.
Don't you dare.
All right, Mark. Chris Broswell, 32.5.
Over. This was an easy one for me.
Yeah, I'm over as well on Broswell. David,
20 over.
Ryan,
Yeah, I'm with David. About 20 over.
Dives.
Over.
All right, that is the end of our players. Now let's get into some positions. Round 1 quarterbacks drafted. The over-under is at 4.5. I am going to take the over on that one. I think a 5th quarterback goes in the first round. I think it's Michael Penix Jr., but I do think it's outside the first half of the first round. David, what do you have?
Just 4 under.
All right, Ryan.
Yeah, Shane, I'm with you. I think Penix Jr. is going to be the 5th quarterback taken.
All right, Dibes
Over.
and Mark.
I'm going over easily here.
Okay, David. Over under 6.5 wide receivers in the first round.
I have it at 6, so under.
All right, Ryan.
Man, that's a really tough one. Because 4, 5, 6. You know what? Screw it. I'll go over. I
right.
literally have like 3 receivers like right there, like the back end. So it's like
Mhm.
All right, Dibes. 6.5 wide receivers. What do you got?
Yeah, I wasted way too much time thinking about this one. I mean, you look at guys like A.D. Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Keon Coleman. This one could very much rely on Ladd McConkey being a late first rounder. I'm going to go over.
All right, Mark.
I'm going under. I have it at 6.
I am also going to go under. First round offensive lineman drafted. The line is set at 7.5. Ryan, start us off here.
I'll go over. But man, I'm telling you, whoever set these lines, good Lord, they're like right exactly where I think they'd be. So I'm going to go with a slight over and say there's going to be 8.
All right. Dibes, how many linemen going in the first round? Over under 7.5.
Over.
All right. Mark.
I went way over here. I had 10, and it could have been even more than that. So I went way over here at 7.5.
Yeah,
Nice.
I'm over on this one quite a bit as well. I think that one's going to go pretty easily. David?
Agreed. Over. 9 or 10.
All right. Round 1 Alabama players drafted. 3.5. Dibes?
Can we get the draft guide up for this one?
Hypothetically.
Can we look
So
at it?
you have Terran Arnold, J.C. Latham, Kool-Aid.
It's Dibes, it's your screen that's shared, not mine. So
Oh,
Basically, do you think Kool-Aid or Braswell will? Honestly, right?
yeah,
Yeah.
it basically comes down to you've got Terrion Arnold, J.C. Latham, Dallas Turner.
Right.
So it comes down to Kool-Aid McKinstry, Chris Broswell. Do you think one of those guys is going to go first round? Is basically where we're at.
I'll go under.
All right, Dibes is under. That brings us to Mark. What do you have?
I'm going under. Yeah, I don't see Kool-Aid or Braswell sneak into the first.
All right, I am going to take the over. I'm shaky on Kool-Aid with the injury stuff. I'm shaky on Broswell, but I think they're both right there in that like pick 30 to 35 range. One of them probably goes, so I'll say over.
I'm going under. The only wild card there for me is Kool-Aid. I don't think Braswell gets in the first, but
Yeah.
All right, Ryan.
I think I'm gonna agree with you, Shane. I'm gonna go over, and I think it's because Kool-Aid sneaks himself into the end of the first. Braswell has no friggin' shot.
All right. Round 1 offensive players drafted. The line is set at 21.5. Does anyone know what the record for the most offensive players in the first round is?
I do
24.
not.
It is 19.
Hmm.
And so this line could go under by 2, and it would still set an NFL record or tie an NFL record. But over under 21.5. That's how deep the offensive line draft is, or excuse me, the offense draft is this year. Mark, what do you think?
I went 22. I went barely over here.
All right. I am also going over. I think this is going to be a tremendously offense heavy first round. David?
I have 12 defensive players, so I am going under.
All right. And tells me your next one, Ryan. What do you got?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna agree with David here. I think it's an under, but man, that's really close.
All right. And Dives?
Yeah, I'm going to go over. I think we're going to see a historic run on wide receivers and offensive linemen.
All right. And then that brings us to round 1, defensive players drafted. The line is set at 10.5. I would assume everybody has flipped from their previous answer, but I'll say under. David, you said you had 12. Ryan?
Yeah, I'll go over.
This is another one of those where I thought about just saying over on both, but
You'll
Dives
be right on one of them.
Under for me.
and Mark.
I'm going under. Big, obviously, I went over the other.
All right. So there you guys have it. Be sure, by the way, you go check out our draft guide. Dives, you want to click over to the info sheet real quick?
Can I add one question? Do you think the Eagles will trade their first round pick?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think they probably move up like a couple picks.
Yeah, I could definitely see him moving. But you guys go check out our NFL draft guide. If you scroll down here, Dives, it's got all the stuff for our watch party. Again, we're going to be live at 7 o'clock Eastern time on Friday and Saturday. It's got links to our big boards for the previous 2 years. You can go to the big board tab, and it's got relative athletic score data. It has rankings for top 100 for all 5 of us. It has the average of our rankings. It has a consensus big board. It highlights who's highest and lowest on a guy. Relative athletic score data, Mark's player comps. We'll be using it live on draft night to check off picks as they go along. It's got links to my top 50 scouting report videos. It's got a lot of stuff on there. Go download a copy of it. You don't have to download a copy. You can just view it through the link, but you won't be able to use the filters unless you download a copy. So make sure you go check that out. It is what we will be using on Thursday night. And of course, you can also follow along with our prop bets. In your copy, you can put a column right beside it and put your own picks in, and you can track it along with us live on the draft show. So there you have it, guys. Our over-unders for the NFL draft. Feels like there's not a lot of them that we were like terribly divided about, but it'll be interesting to see how those shake out. So before we get out of here, let's throw it around the horn. Let you guys plug any of the stuff that you've got coming out. Tell the people where they can follow you. Mark, you're our guest here. We'll throw it to you first. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you can follow me at Mark Henry Jr. _ By the way, like as soon as this podcast went live, a Detroit radio station like tweeted out a take of mine from last year about Jahmyr Gibbs. So I'm getting all these angry DMs and tweets at me from Detroit Lions fans at this whole pod. Still wouldn't take a running back 12th overall. And you can find out why when you listen to Chalk Talk with me and Shane. That's coming up next. And Dives is on there as well during draft season. We're breaking down our my guys coming up next. So that's what I'll plug. All
right. Yeah, be sure you just bookmark all those tweets and come back in 4 years when he
doesn't get to the second contract.
$20 million or he doesn't get it, one of the two. So all right, David, welcome back to the show. Tell the people what you've got going on, where they can find you.
You can find everything I'm doing at PHL Eagle News. I have a new mock draft. I have a piece on Terry on. Tomorrow, I'm dropping a piece about why the Bears passed on Jalen Carter. It's a pretty interesting story. Came right out of the GM's mouth. So check that out tomorrow. But that's about it.
All right. Be sure you check out David's stuff. Very talented writer, puts out a lot of good stuff. You guys go check him out. Ryan, where can the people find you? What do you have going on?
Well, I certainly don't have anything as interesting as the two previous gentlemen, but you can find me on Edge of Philly Sports. I have football smack talk show every Monday at 6:00, Party on Broad every Monday at 9:00. This show, of course, every Tuesday at 8. And obviously, as it says right down here, make sure you guys are joining us this Thursday, 7:00. All 5 of us, we are going to be going to live. We're going to watch the draft together, break everything down, talk about it, do some trivia, have some fun. But other than that, yeah, just catch me around.
All right. Dibes, you're up. Tell the people what you've got going on. Where can they find you?
Like Ryan, Party on Broad, Monday nights, 9:00. You can find me here on Sixers post-game shows as well. Of course, Birds of the Roundtable, Tuesdays, 8:00. I have been pumping out some brief previews of the top 20 2025 NFL draft prospects, so go check that out. Looks like a really strong draft. Way too early take. So they're little scouting reports of, spring previews and a blurb on each team and what we should be expecting from them as well. So if you love college football and the draft, tons of stuff as we get ready for the 2025 draft.
All right. And as for me, you can follow me on Twitter and YouTube at Shane Half NFL. I just recorded a new episode of On the Shane. Well, didn't record. I live stream an episode of On the Shane Page with Johnny Page today, talking about Eagles defensive targets on day 1 and 2. So you can go check that out. We have our own podcast feed now. You can go search On the Shane Page wherever you get your podcasts. Go like that, subscribe to it, and give us a review, please. 5-star ratings are the only ones accepted. Everything else, it just makes your phone bug out. So don't even try. Just give it 5 stars and go check that one out. And definitely make sure you guys are following along with all of us on the draft show. I clicked the wrong button here. Didn't know how to get back to where we were normally at. But be sure you guys tune in on Thursday night. It's going to be a lot of fun. But that's going to do it for this episode of Birds of the Roundtable. We will see you guys Thursday night for the first round of the NFL draft. Go Birds.